So you're aiming to speak English like a real pro. We definitely get that.
Yeah, it's a common goal.
And to give you a bit of an edge, we took a deep dive into this quite punchy 10-minute podcast. It's called How to Speak English Like a Pro in 90 Days Complete Roadmap.
Right, quite a title. And basically, this is our extraction mission for today.
Extraction mission, I like that.
We're pulling out the core strategies, the really essential stuff from what they advise, the things that could actually help someone seriously improve their English speaking in, well, about 3 months.
Okay, 90 days. It sounds ambitious, maybe.
It does sound fast.
But the podcast actually lays out a surprisingly logical path forward. One of the first things that that really jumped out at me was this focus on clear, achievable goals.
Oh, yes. Crucial.
It's not just this vague idea of, I want to be better. It's about defining what pro actually looks like for you, specifically within that 90-day window.
That's absolutely foundational, isn't it? Because if you don't have those specific targets, like maybe it's leading a meeting confidently, maybe it's giving a presentation, or, just handling everyday chats better.
Right.
It's just too easy for your efforts to get scattered. And your motivation can, dip.
Totally.
So what the podcast smartly highlights is breaking that big goal down, into smaller, manageable steps, like planning a road trip, sort of. You need the destination, sure, but you get there in stages.
Exactly, like stages. And then they dive straight into the how-to, the actual doing. No big surprise, consistent practice is massive.
Of course.
But it's not about just, listening passively. It's active speaking, even when it feels a bit weird at first.
Yeah, pushing through the awkwardness.
They suggest literally scheduling time just for speaking, like booking gym time, but for your language muscles.
And what's interesting is the kind of practice they push for, it's varied. It's not just repeating stuff by rote. They put a lot of weight on shadowing, listening to native speakers, and then immediately trying to copy their pronunciation, their rhythm.
Oh, shadowing, yeah. That's powerful.
It really is for getting that natural flow. And then there's the slightly intimidating one, recording yourself.
Yeah, the self-recording. Cringe factor, maybe?
A little, but incredibly useful, right? To actually hear where you need to tweak things.
You can absolutely see the value, like holding up a mirror. Okay, another key bit. Vocabulary. But again, targeted.
Yes, targeted. Not just random word lists.
Forget those. It's about words and phrases relevant to your actual needs, your interests.
Context, context, context. That's what they advocate. Learning words and the situations you'll use them.
Makes sense.
They suggest things like flashcards, using language apps, but, strategically, and really trying to use that new vocabulary when you speak. Active application.
Not just memorizing.
Exactly, not passive.
Now, this next part I found really interesting because it's not just about the mechanics of speaking. They also get into the mindset, tackling that fear, the fear of making mistakes and actually building confidence.
The psychology of it. So important.
Yeah, reframing errors not as failures, but as essential steps in learning. And actively looking for chances to speak, even if it's low pressure.
Is so often the biggest hurdle, isn't it? The fear of sounding silly or imperfect.
Definitely.
The podcast encourages this shift, seeing mistakes as just data. Information to help you improve. They suggest finding language partners, maybe tutors, people who give supportive feedback.
Creating that safe space to practice.
Precisely.
So when you sort of stitch it all together, this 90-day roadmap isn't magic.
No quick fixes here.
It's a pretty structured strategy. Clear goals, consistent and varied practice, relevant vocabulary, and actively working on that confidence piece.
And looking at the bigger picture, the advice feels very actionable.
Right.
It's not just theory. It's concrete things you could genuinely start doing, today to see real progress.
Okay, so boiling it down for everyone listening who wants that pro-level English, according to the source, hitting that in 90 days. It seems possible if you put in focused effort in these specific areas.
Which brings us to a final thought, really, a question for you, the listener. Thinking about all this concentrated advice, what's one single immediate action you could take right now, today, to start your own journey towards speaking English more confidently?
Yeah.